With their lengthy investing attitude, foolhardy investors understand that the only way to succeed is to stay focused on acquiring high-quality financial institutions for the long term, regardless of who wins the presidency. And speaking of wealth, presidents of the United States are known for not only guiding the country in variety of political undertakings, but also for their financial achievements. Presidents have always been wealthy, and many of them amassed their fortunes before taking office. We produced a list of top 5 richest presidents in the United States, as well as how they got their fortunes. So let's have a little light here at the close of the tumultuous election season. Who are the wealthiest 5 presidents in the U.S. history? On the 5th spot, Theodore Roosevelt. Roosevelt was born into a distinguished and rich family, and he inherited a significant trust money. He had to work as an author to pay the bills after losing most of his money on a ranching enterprise in the Dakotas. Roosevelt spent the majority of his adult life working for the government. Sagamore Hill, his 25-acre estate, presently lies in some of Long Island's most valuable real estate. His $125 million fortune came from Theodore Roosevelt's prominent New York family. Roosevelt, unlike his businessman father, was uninterested in banking and business during his presidency, which lasted for 1901 to 1909. The Roosevelt family's wealth derived from the New York City commercial and residential fortunes, as well as more contemporary locomotive holdings, was never as vast as that of the late 19th century manufacturing noblemen, but it was adequate to maintain them in river family status. Theodore had a passion for politics and public service, and at the age of 23, he was elected to the New York State Assembly. He was self-sufficient. The family is currently better recognized for its political prowess than for its wealth. The Roosevelts, on the other hand, are one of the earliest American dynasties, having spanned every period of the country's history. Thomas Jefferson, America's 3rd president, possessed his $212 million inheritance. He acquired 3,000 acres of land near Charlottesville, Virginia, when he was a youngster. The land was expanded to 5,000 acres, and Jefferson built his famed Monticello mansion on it. Jefferson served from 1801 to 1809 and remained affluent for the majority of his life, but he eventually ran into financial difficulties and had to sell the Monticello estate before his death in 1826. Thomas Jefferson's residence stands like the Platonic ideal of a mansion above his hillside. A flawless creation residing in an ethereal realm, literally above the clouds. To get to Monticello, you must climb this high, violent hill through a thick forest and swirls of mist that dissipate at the crest as if it were a mountain. During dinner, Jefferson would unlock a panel on the fireplace's side, insert an empty wine bottle, and then draw out a full bottle seconds later. We suppose he would wait until an astounded guest asked him how the magic happened before revealing it. A thin, dumb waiter fell to the basement and was hidden behind the panel. When Jefferson placed an empty bottle in the compartment, a slave in the cellar quickly drew the dumb waiter down, removed the old bottle, inserted a new bottle, and sent it up to the master. Similarly, platters of hot food appeared out of nowhere on a spinning door with shelves, while used plates vanished from view on the same device. The estate he received from his father is Thomas Jefferson's principal source of wealth. Jefferson was affluent for the majority of his life, according to 24/7 Wall Street, but he died in debt. This could surprise you to learn that George Washington, America's 1st president, has a fortune of $525 million when he served from 1709 to 1797. Mount Vernon, his prosperous plantation, brought in a sizable sum of money from the 300 slaves on the property. Washington, on the other hand, is no longer widely recognized for his wealth. Rather, he is remembered as a founding father of the United States. The state's first president, like Madison and Jefferson, benefited greatly from the Virginia planting tradition. His vast 7,000-acre plantation, Mount Vernon, employed over 300 slaves. In conjunction with other assets, Washington holdings grew to encompass land tracts in the Ohio Valley, New York, and the District of Columbia. Washington, like Madison and Jefferson, is recognized today for his enormous commitment to the Union rather than his personal wealth. Washington's reputation as a land investor, which developed out of his initial job as a field surveyor, is responsible for the majority of his riches. During the French and Indian War, he obtained direct experience of the frontier territory beyond the Allegheny Mountains. The economic and geopolitical significance of the area left an indelible effect on the young officer, and it was the key that unlocked the door to financial opportunities. It may not be astonishing that John F. Kennedy was one of America's wealthiest presidents. He was, admittedly, a descendant of illustrious Kennedy family, one of the most prominent and influential political dynasties in the United States. Kennedy inherited his $1 billion fortune while serving as president from 1961 until his assassination in 1963. Joe Kennedy, his father, made his money through banking and investing. He expanded his real estate holdings by 809 hectares or 2,000 acres and built Monticello, his showpiece residence. Donald Trump is commonly recognized as the wealthiest president in history and is often alluded to as the first billionaire president. His net worth, meanwhile, is undisclosed due to the Trump Organization's private ownership. With a net worth of $3 billion, Donald Trump is certain to become the wealthiest president in history. Trump was a famous player in New York City real estate before entering politics. He inherited his father's company and turned it into a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate. Trump owns over a dozen golf clubs and resorts, in addition to multiple New York City buildings. Trump's net wealth will almost certainly increase after and during his administration. Whereas all presidents are wealthy in general, when you look at the numbers, there is a vast range of wealth. Some of the presidents of the United States have been fairly affluent. According to Forbes, Joe Biden, the current inhabitant of the White House, is valued at $8 million. On the other hand, the vast sums of money owned by our presidents are astonishing. The wealthiest presidents in American history, as well as how much they even were worth.